Welcome to the global launch of the Handbook on Promoting Budget Credibility through External Audits. This event is jointly organized by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Division for Public Institutions and Digital Government, DPIDG, and the International Budget Partnership, IBP. My name is Claire Schouten, and I am delighted to moderate today's event. The event is being conducted in English, French, and Spanish. Please press the interpretation language button on your screen and select the language in which you want to listen to the discussion. As we strive to tackle global crises, strong oversight of government spending is more important than ever. Supreme Audit Institutions, or SAIs, have an important role in ensuring a country delivers on its budget promises. Credible national budgets provide a roadmap to effective service delivery and to the achievement of long-term national objectives, such as the Sustainable Development Goals. During the global launch session today, we will explore how SAIs can assess and address budget credibility in the audit process. Following opening remarks and an overview of the handbook, speakers will reflect on opportunities to strengthen budget credibility in the audit process, foster knowledge sharing and capacity development, and advance budget credibility in the SAI community. I would like all participants to actively engage by using the Q&A box and join us on social media using the hashtag Global Goals. We have a packed agenda today, so I'll be keeping speakers on time. Let's begin. We will now turn to Bruno Dantas, President of the Federal Court of Accounts of Brazil and Chair of the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, SAI. Over to you.
Distinguished colleagues and partners, I'm honored to address you today to celebrate a significant achievement in government auditing, the launch of the Budget Credibility Handbook, a collaborative effort between the International Budget Partnership and the Division for Public Institutions and Digital Government of the United Nations Department of Economics and Social Affairs. Our Supreme Audit Institutions have a crucial role to play in advancing at the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. By verifying the legality and accuracy of public accounts and ensuring budget credibility, we directly contribute to governments fulfilling their sustainable development promises. This new handbook shares relevant audit practices for evaluating issues related to budget credibility. It provides guidance on how these institutions can systematically improve their analysis of the integrity of government budgets. It is important to emphasize that the development of this document was made possible through exceptional collaboration. The SAI's participants have demonstrated commitment to promoting transparency, accountability, and good governance in their respective nations. Their wealth of experience and expertise in government auditing has been invaluable in crafting a comprehensive and robust resources that addresses the crucial aspects of budget credibility. SAI has also been actively engaged in the development of this handbook through webinars, surveys, technical meetings, and a parallel event during the 24th INCOSAI in Rio de Janeiro. It is gratifying to witness the engagement of various actors in this approach to develop, launch, disseminate, and implement the report. The Brazilian Federal Court of Accounts, as an active contributor to this handbook, has long been at the forefront of promoting accountability and ensuring the proper management of public resources. Our institution has developed a recurring audit cycle that combines some mid-year audits with a broader year-end audit of the budget. In mid-year audits, the court makes projections to verify whether major fiscal rules would be observed throughout the entire fiscal year. Our constitutional mandate includes the execution of year-end audits of the comprehensive annual national budget reports. We assess the consistency and appropriateness of performance indicators and evaluate observed policy results in the fiscal year compared with government targets and external benchmarks. The court's report and opinion are submitted to the Congress for a final decision on the President's accounts. Through its rigorous audits and evaluations, the Court of Accounts has consistently provided critical insights into the credibility of government budgets, thereby fostering transparency and enhancing public trust in the budgeting process. Therefore, I emphasize the vital role of SAI in disseminating these best practices among its member countries, particularly in promoting end-year audits. In conclusion, I extend my deepest gratitude to everyone involved in this project and urge all institutions to apply the Budget Credibility Handbook. Together, we can make our planning and budget systems more transparent, reliable, and aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you for all your commitment and dedication throughout this process, and I wish you success in implementing the Budget Credibility Handbook worldwide.
Thank you very much to President Bruno Dantas. Excellent remarks. We will now turn to David LeBlanc, Chief of the Institutions for Sustainable Development Goals Branch, Division for Public Institutions and Digital Government at the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Claire, and welcome to all the participants who joined us. As has been already said, budget are critical and powerful tools for priority setting and policy making. And the way in which public resources are allocated, committed, and spent reveals the coherence between government's stated commitments and plans and the results and outcomes on the ground. So in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals, this is obviously a key topic of interest. And as already said, too, Supreme Audit Institutions play a central role in budget matters. Depending on their mandates, they address various aspects and dimensions of budget credibility. And the rationale for developing the handbook was to take stock of these diverse practices in a systematic way and create a resource that could facilitate the exchange of knowledge and practices in the SAI community and support capacity development within SAIs. The launch of the handbook today is the culmination of more than 2 years of collaborative efforts. It has been a very productive partnership, and we are very proud of the final product. I would like to thank our colleagues at the International Budget Partnership for engaging with us on this important topic and for the seamless collaboration since the beginning of the project. Pooling our resources has not only enabled us to achieve the initial objective of the project, which was to issue this handbook, it has allowed us to think creatively along the way and deliver a product that hopefully matches the needs and practices of Supreme Audit Institutions. I would like to extend our most sincere thanks and gratitude to the teams in the Supreme Audit Institutions of Argentina, Brazil, Georgia, Indonesia, Morocco, the Philippines, Uganda, and Zambia, who participated in the various work streams under the project to co-produce content for the handbook, and as well to the leadership in their respective Supreme Audit Institutions for allowing them to commit time and efforts to the development of the handbook. Our thanks also go to all the other partners, individuals, organizations, who help make the handbook more relevant and more robust through the provision of information, advice, comments on successive drafts, text contributions, and peer reviews. Today's meeting is not the end. We hope that Supreme Audit Institutions from all regions will find the handbook a helpful resource. We plan to translate the handbook into French and Spanish to increase its reach. We stand ready to support Supreme Audit Institutions that would like to develop or expand their analysis of budget credibility in the coming years. And lastly, we very much hope that this handbook will be a living document which can be revised to reflect new practices, examples on how Supreme Audit Institutions address budget credibility issues. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, David. It has been a wonderful journey, and we're excited to continue the journey.
Thank you very much.
We now want to turn to Ana Patricia Munoz, Executive Director of the International Budget Partnership. Over to you.
Thank you, Claire. Merci, David. On behalf of the International Budget Partnership, we are thrilled to co-convene this webinar with you and DESA on the launch of this handbook that you have already heard a little bit in these first two interventions, and you've heard some of the great we've had. I wanted to put some numbers on that. Over these 2 years that David mentioned, we've been working on this. 1,100 people have participated in webinars, in reviewing processes, so quite a collective effort to be able to launch the handbook today. And also we've had peer reviewers and comments from more than 30 Supreme Audit Institutions from around the world. So this has been a true partnership, and we are very happy to have you all here today. I see close to 200 people connected, and I know with time differences, this is quite an achievement. Thank you also to our speakers today. You're going to hear from Indonesia, Philippines, Argentina, and Morocco, and we're very grateful for your time today. At IBP, we work with a broad range of stakeholders to make sure that the public funds are raised and are spent in a fair, just, equitable, and transparent manner. And over time, institutions have become a key partner. Now it seems very natural that we work all together, that we're having this great reach, but this wasn't true only 8 years ago. I was reading a blog that Claire shared with me that recounted the first encounter between IBP, the civil society, and some Supreme Audit Institutions, whereas there was some resistance, I would say, that this partnership would work. And now here we are. And we know this is only the beginning of not only a launch of collaborative effort, but more than that, of joint actions on the ground. And so this handbook also is a result of joint research that we have conducted over these years. For example, our research across 35 countries demonstrates that, especially in low-income countries, budgets are underspent by about 14%. What does 14% mean? Is the size of the entire health budget for these countries. And you may imagine there's many reasons why budgets are underspent. But the concerning part is that most of this deviation happens in sectors that are key to populations that have been traditionally excluded, sectors like health, agriculture, water, and sanitation. What happens then is that marginalized communities are left without the basic services they deserve, and also that trust in government continue to be diminished. Just to give you an example on how this impacts real people on the ground. In Senegal, the Flood Water Management and Sanitation Services program that was meant to protect close to 7 million people living in informal settlements had initial budget underspent of 33% from 2018 to 2020. It's no surprise then, when devastating floods arrived in 2022, that thousands of people were displaced and they didn't have the resources they needed. In this process then, to improve budget credibility and to monitor whether government their proposed budgets and also they target the populations they needed, Supreme Audit Institutions play a fundamental role. Now in this journey, we have also seen how even when organizations, audit institutions are willing and interested in implementing such measures, there's a need of a network that can support ideas to be implemented on the ground. And this is what this launch does. It not only provides ideas of what has been done in the past, but also what can be done in the future. I'm very happy to see the InterSci community, the tight network that you all have. I hear frequently from Claire, and you can already see it today in the intervention of our speakers. So we have only 60 minutes to cover all of this. So I wish us an excellent webinar, and we look forward to continue collaborating in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ana Patricia. We're excited to continue this journey together, as we said. So and so what is this handbook about? We now would like to turn to Aranzazu Gian Montero, Senior Governance and Public Administration Officer at DPIDG UNDESA. Over to you to share an overview.
Thank you, Claire. I would like to provide a brief overview of the handbook and to share some information on the development of this technical resource that is now available to support the work of auditors and other stakeholders on budget credibility. And I will try to be brief because it's our wish that you will actually go and read and explore the handbook by yourselves. The handbook aims to strengthen the role of Supreme Audit Institutions in auditing budget credibility by documenting and sharing audit practices and supporting capacity building to conduct these assessments. We would like the handbook to help to raise awareness of auditors and Supreme Audit Institutions about budget credibility issues and how audits can inform credibility analysis and promote a more systematic approach to evaluating budget credibility. We hope it will be a useful reference material for auditors and other stakeholders as well, and also a capacity building tool for Supreme Audit Institutions to promote budget credibility assessments. We would like to advance and promote also the role of Supreme Audit Institutions in this area and advance the discussions around budget oversight and credibility within the INTOSAI community, engaging with the different INTOSAI groups, regions, and other stakeholders. And ultimately, of course, the handbook aims to contribute to strengthen budget credibility at the national level. The contents of the handbook have been developed by a group of resource experts from Supreme Audit Institutions from different regions, bringing different perspectives, and reflecting the diversity of the INTOSAI community has been an important consideration in this work. The development of the handbook has been a collaborative process, and there have been some important or critical milestones along the way. Our initial research to map some of the work that Supreme Audit Institutions have done in this area was published as a policy brief in early 2021. An expert group meeting in May 2021 provided the initial inputs to define the outline and the scope of the work, and also help us identify some of the resource experts to be invited to contribute and collaborate. We conducted a survey of the INTOSAI members in early 2022. We had also a review meeting in person in New York in June 2022, and this provided an opportunity to share the draft chapters and to get valuable feedback from experts and auditors on the drafts. Finally, the peer review process at the end of last year and the beginning of this year was extensive and involved over 25 reviewers, including experts from Supreme Audit Institutions and other organizations. I would like to give you an overview of some of the contents that you can find in the handbook. Following the introduction, chapters 1 and 2 introduce the concept of budget credibility in the context of public financial management systems. And these chapters identify different dimensions that can be considered in auditing credibility and how Supreme Audit Institutions may determine whether and how issues related to budget credibility could be audited and reflected in audit plans. We also include some relevant standards and tools that can be useful for auditors in their work. Chapter 3 focuses on how to identify and assess budget credibility risks at the whole of government level. Chapter 4 presents examples of auditing the performance of the public financial management system or some of its processes and institutions. Chapter 5 provides guidance on auditing the execution of the state budget or the year-end accounts. And Chapter 6 examines budget credibility risk at the entity or program levels. Finally, the last chapter focuses on an important piece in this equation, which is audit reporting and the importance of following up on audit recommendations related to budget credibility. We would like to highlight the practical nature of the handbook. Each of the chapters include an overview of each of the approaches that are presented, relevant standards, practical steps and procedures, examples, tools, checklists, and a reflection also on some of the challenges and the lessons learned, and some recommendations to strengthen the work in this area. These are just some examples, selected examples of some of the practical illustrations that you can find in the handbook. All chapters include different boxes highlighting practices in different countries and regions, looking at different issues, including fiscal sustainability, management of public debt, the impact of legislative amendments of budget credibility, the importance of performance indicators and information, examples of positive impacts of the work of Supreme Audit Institutions with the audits of the performance of the public financial management systems, and also how collaboration between different stakeholders can contribute to improve budget credibility in different sectors. This launching today is just part of a wider communication and dissemination strategy. We have presented the handbook in different INTOSAI events. We plan also to publish an article which is forthcoming in the INTOSAI journal in the next weeks. And we would like to continue these efforts to reach out to the INTOSAI community and other stakeholders to promote the ownership. As we have highlighted at the beginning, we see this as a living document that will benefit from inputs, comments from different stakeholders and from the experience of auditors using the handbook in their work going forward. So this is really just the beginning. It's an important milestone, but we would like to continue our engagement with the INTOSAI community and support Supreme Audit Institutions to integrate budget credibility into their planning and conduct audits of budget credibility, and also promote peer learning, developing training contents and materials, and supporting knowledge sharing and mutual support among Supreme Audit Institutions. We look forward to your feedback on the handbook, and we hope you will find this new resource useful. And before closing, I would like to thank very especially all the auditors from the different countries that have contributed to developing the materials and the contents that you are going to read. And it's really their effort and their work that you will see reflected in the pages of this handbook. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Arantxa. It's truly a collective effort, and we're delighted to now feature some of the Supreme Audit Institutions that have been contributing to this handbook. So I now turn to Dr. Isma Yatun, Chairperson of the Audit Board of the Republic of Indonesia. SAI Indonesia has rich experience in auditing and addressing credibility in public financial management across budget planning and execution. Based on your experience, how can SAIs strengthen budget credibility? Over to you.
Thank you, Claire. Addressing this question, I would like to highlight 6 significant factors contributing to strengthening the budget credibility based on Indonesians' experience. First, SAI should have clear mandates in auditing state finances, including credibility in public financial management. As clearly stated, in Indonesian Constitution, SAI Indonesia has the authority to audit state financial management and accountability independently. That mandates are then regulated further in audit law and SAI Indonesia law, which provides detailed authorities and functions of SAI Indonesia audits, including solid enforcement and follow-up actions by audited entities. Second, SAI must execute and fulfill their mandates by developing pertinent audit strategies and plans to cope with resource scarcity, yet accomplish their wide-ranging audit scopes. As part of audit priorities, budget accountability is an essentially audit subject matter for most SAIs regarding state financial management and accountability. Then, SAIs could conduct performance audits to assess budget implementation, effectiveness, and efficiency. It is to identify PFM areas that are more risky, important, and auditable, have significant value, and generate more significant impact. Third, implementing audit strategies and plans regarding budget accountability SAI Indonesia has audited budget implementation and accountability in revenue, expenditure, asset, and debt management, as well as government financial statements, also reviewed government fiscal transparency as part of the budget implementation accountability. Fourth, SAIs should leverage their audit impacts by monitoring and encouraging follow-up actions by audited entities. With a swift action plan, SAI monitors the progress of corrective actions taken by the audit entities. Based on audit and SAI Indonesia laws, the audit entities completed more than 80% of SAI Indonesia's recommend. Fifth, it is essential to have an appropriate data and accountability framework. Thus, SAI should provide a standardized, integrated, and efficient reporting system by maximizing the digital transformation potential. SAI Indonesia has been transforming its audits into a digital system and applying IT-based audit management system and big data analytics. This transformation has supported SAI Indonesia audits regarding time, scope, or coverage, accuracy, and interlink or data match for reliable analysis, notably in budget accountability. Six, SAIs should contribute to SDG achievement. SAI Indonesia has contributed significantly to SDG achievement since its audit on government preparedness. Furthermore, SAI Indonesia has audited SDG implementation and reviewed government reports on SDGs, such as voluntary national review. SAI's contribution to SDGs may enrich budget credibility in economic, social, and environmental dimensions for future generations. Therefore, strengthening budget credibility can come by assuring the SDG achievement.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yatun. It's a pleasure to hear from your experience and look forward to hearing more. We'll now turn to our next speaker, Gamaliel A. Cordova, Chairperson of the Commission on Audit in the Philippines. And we know SAI Philippines has extensive experience in identifying and addressing budget credibility risks, including at the entity and program level. What steps can SAIs take to identify and address such risks? Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished partners and esteemed colleagues in the public sector and SAI community, I extend my warm greetings to each one of you, with wishing you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your location. I am deeply grateful to our partners from the UNDESA and the IBP for extending the invitation to share the experiences of the Commission on Audit Philippines on our role in strengthening budget credibility. Today, I am very glad to share the role of our SAI and our strategies and approaches in fostering budget credibility through the work that we do. With the history spanning over 120 years, our audit practices have evolved collectively as an institution, adapting to the changing needs of public service. Allow me to highlight 3 steps that SAIs can take to identify and address budget credibility risks based on the experience of the Commission on Audit. First and foremost, we believe that the Supreme Audit Institutions need to ensure that it play its role in the public financial management cycle in an efficient and effective manner. Understanding how funds are sourced, disbursed, used, and managed at both the whole of government and the program or entity levels enables SAIs to pinpoint potential risks that may undermine budget credibility. Our auditors in the Philippines possess sufficient knowledge in the budget process and the broader framework of the PFM system. Our broad mandate and wide audit scope allows us to diligently trace the funding, disbursement, and utilization of the budget across all government accounts and transactions. As a result, our auditors are proficient in navigating the intricacies of the budget landscape and ensuring a thorough examination of financial activities at various levels. Secondly, we firmly believe in empowering our auditors to issue recommendations for enhancing budget credibility based on their findings. In our commitment to transparency and accountability, our auditors employ a robust process for gathering feedback from the auditees regarding our audit observations and recommendations. To achieve this, we issue audit observation memoranda to our auditees, inviting them to provide their commitments, their comments and justifications. This step is an essential part of our audit reporting, ensuring that all parties have an opportunity to present their perspectives. As an additional measure to promote open communications, our auditors conduct exit conferences with the concerned officials of the audited agencies. During these conferences, we engage in detailed discussions surrounding the summary of findings and recommendations. These meetings allow our auditors to collect valuable feedback directly from the auditees, ensuring that their insights are considered in the preparation of the final audit report. Upon issuance of the audit report, our auditees are required to prepare what our colleagues in the Philippine government fondly call as AAPC, or the Agency Action Plan and Status of Implementation, which requires our auditees to set their commitments in implementing these recommendations. The submission of the AAPC by auditees within 60 days from receiving the audit report is mandated by the Philippines budget law. Our auditors monitor the implementation of the commitment indicated in the AAPC through the Action Plan Monitoring Tool, or the APMT. I would like to emphasize that the implementation of audit recommendations by auditees is used as one of the indicators criteria to measure the auditee's performance. Additionally, our monitoring of the audit recommendations play a vital role in the deliberations of the auditee's proposed budget at the legislative level. Lastly, it is worth mentioning the significant strides that the SAI Philippines has made in engaging with stakeholders and institutional partners during the audit process. This inclusive approach allows us to better address credibility risks at the program or entity level.
Right.
Active engagement with stakeholders and oversight bodies and institutions, such as the legislative and executive branches of government, plays a pivotal role in promoting accountability within the governance framework and effectively addressing budget credibility risks. This ensures that entities are held responsible and that measures are in place to mitigate such risks. As one of the SAI Philippines' proudest achievements, I'm delighted to share our experience in the adoption of the Citizen Participatory Audit Strategy, also known as a CPA. The CPA allows active
Mr.
involvement.
Cordoba, we kindly ask you to wrap up.
Yes,
Thank you.
allows the active involvement of citizens and non-government organizations, or NGOs, in monitoring and evaluating government programs. We believe that by engaging citizens in the audit process, the COA promotes budget transparency and encourages public participation in holding government accountable for the utilization of public funds. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very rich experience to share. We'd now like to turn to our next speaker, Mr. Yassine Nassiri, President of the Chamber of the Court of Auditors of the Kingdom of Morocco. You regularly publish a summary of the annual audit of the state budget in the following annual public report. And this systematic publication contributes to reinvigorating interest in the results of the audits. How does SAI Morocco use the results of these audits to strengthen budget credibility? Over to you.
Merci Claire,
Thank you, Claire. Dear colleagues, I would begin by thanking all the colleagues who participated in developing this manual, this valuable manual. And I thank IBP for this remarkable work. As regards the Moroccan SAI in the context in its discussion in the parliament, that is in the Moroccan constitution.
We do conduct an annual audit of our public finances, and we call this the REF report. And the results of this audit are part of a report that is accompanies the laws, the implementation laws governing the public finance law. And this can be found on our website. It's published annually. through the observations that we gather in the process of this audit, we look at any gaps that there may be. We analyze budgetary tendencies and trends and performance trends. We also look at how expenditures were made and if they were done in accordance with the objectives and the terms that were set. So in the end, this is what defines budget credibility. We also look at trends from budget management and other risks that we may see in terms of public financing, more generally speaking. We also publish this report along with another important aspect, which is the performance of government action in public financing, and we have been doing this since 2019. There's been a chapter on this included in the report since 2019. In terms of the audits that we conduct, we look at the systemic budgetary risks that may be linked to budget management, and we give examples of, for example, how fiscal revenues are concentrated, and we look at management of state-owned enterprises. And to give you a few examples, and to quote the 2020 report, we looked at the impact of the COVID pandemic, and we did an exhaustive analysis of this. We also did a rather exhaustive analysis of the measures that were deployed to overcome COVID and to relaunch the economy after the pandemic. And then we also looked at, generally speaking, budget credibility. In addition, under our constitution, the president of the audit court presents a report every year to the various representatives of the nation, of the government, and this brings about a lot of sparks general interest and public debate in terms of the budget, and systematically we are able to then look at different areas and issues that impact budget credibility. We have also, since 2020, been looking at the structural reforms that our country has undertaken, and we have been doing so with an ongoing follow-up. These concern fiscal reforms, and also the issue of social protections, more widely speaking. And this also helps us to understand the trajectory of public finances and have a better idea of budget credibility, both in the short term and the long term. The results of these oversight missions are also published on our website. Similarly, our SAI also provides recommendations as part of this undertaking, and we have a special platform to facilitate feedback and comments from the various departments, from the heads of the government and government departments, and then we also then follow up with our recommendations that are provided them. Thank you. Thank you so much for that very important information.
Some excellent questions and comments. Thank you to participants. Please continue to share those. Those are great. We'll now turn to Jesus Rodriguez, President of the General Audit Office of the Argentine nation. We know that you are interested in governance issues and have rich experience as a legislator and in government, including at the ministerial level. The handbook highlights the interconnectedness of various actors in the accountability ecosystem, including SAIs, legislators, civil society, and of course, the executive. What is the importance of budget credibility for strengthening governance and effective institutions, and how can SAIs work together with actors in this system in the regard? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Dear colleagues, hi everyone from rainy, cold Buenos Aires in Argentina. I'm very glad to, and I'm also very proud to be part of this important effort to improve the budget process regarding the relationship between public sector, and citizens. As we all know, the budget process works, among other possibilities, as a roadmap that establishes priorities. In this relationship, I'm sure that the key element is trust. And the budget is no stranger to this requirement. I would like you to allow me to brief you in Latin America, my own region. According to the Economist annual study, the well-known weekly magazine, there are only 3 countries classified as full democracy in our region. These 3 countries, not by chance, I'm sure, show the best economic outcomes and also the best corruption index perception. Not only that, those 3 countries have relative good COVID figures, good track records in COVID figures. And that is important because, as I'm sure you know, Latin America, with less than 10% of the world population, exhibits at around 30% of COVID victims. Speaking about COVID, I would like to bring to the discussion the 2021 IDP paper on budget and COVID. In that study, IDP showed that half countries of that were studied, that were researched, avoid Congress when increases expenditures were decided. More than that, that study also showed that 1 of 4 countries audit the expenditure only in a timely manner. This is one more reason to look at budget credibility. I think that institutions matters a lot. And when you speaking about institutions, we have to regard SDG, especially SDG 16, the one that refers to peace, justice, and social institutions. And regarding that, there is a special indicator, a specific indicator that assesses the deviation of spending from what was approved. Summing up, I would like to underline the institution matters when we talk about social progress and quality of democracy. Regarding that, this handbook that we are presenting today is a very helpful tool for state audit institutions and to do what? To improve our daily work and increase budget credibility. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias. You've certainly highlighted the importance of this issue, the importance of the SAIs, the importance of the interconnectedness of actors to achieve development goals. Thank you. We'll now turn the second round of questions. Again, we'll keep the answers tight, please, and focusing more on what can we do going forward. So over to you, Dr. Ismayatun. What strategic steps does the SAI of Indonesia plan to take to strengthen budget credibility in the audit process in Indonesia and within the audit community? Please, over to you.
Okay, once again, thank you, Claire, for the questions. To strengthen budget credibility in the audit process, both in Indonesia and within the IntoSai community, the SAI Indonesia could consider taking the following strategic steps. Firstly, we need multi-stakeholder engagement. SAI Indonesia recognizes the significance of effective communication and engagement with our stakeholders, including parliament, governments, civil society, and the public. The multi-stakeholders arrangement intentionally gains independent, effective, and efficient audits. Secondly, SAIs must identify and measure their audit impacts, primarily on identifying and measuring budget credibility. SAIs should identify their audit impacts on their audit strategies and plans. Factors or variables that influence audit impacts should be identified and measured. Then, SAIs must measure their audit impacts after the audit report submission and follow-up actions. Lastly, SAIs need collaboration within the IntoSai community and other stakeholders. SAIs should actively engage within the IntoSai community by participating in international events, sharing best practices, and contributing to developing auditing standards and guidelines. Collaborating with other SAIs provides valuable opportunities and for mutual learning, exchange of experiences, and fostering budget credibility on a global scale. Furthermore, knowledge sharing could entail relevant stakeholders, yet enhance the skills and knowledge of its auditors. Hence, these strategic steps could strengthen budget credibility in the audit process in Indonesia and within the broader IntoSai community while promoting transparency, accountability, and effective public financial management. Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you very much. Those are very comprehensive and clear steps to take forward. We'll now go to Mr. Cordoba in the Philippines. How is your SAI embedding budget credibility in your strategic plan and in the audit process, as well as the audit community? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Claire, for that question. Embedding essential audit themes or issues into our SAI strategic plan and audit process can be facilitated through many diverse approaches, depending on the actual practices, context, and legal framework of the SAI. This is also true when SAIs advocate budget credibility as an important issue in the IntoSai community, considering our various roles in many working groups, regional organizations, and task forces. At this juncture, let me share how the COA can effectively embed budget credibility in both our strategic plan and audit process, as well as in the broader IntoSai community. First, at the level of SAIs, we believe that the leaderships could prioritize budget credibility as a critical factor in strategic audit planning to uphold the integrity of financial information and enhance public financial management. Leadership within SAIs play a crucial role in integrating relevant themes and aligning audits with government priorities, considering aspects such as transparency, accountability, and efficiency. Our SAI has a long-standing practice of vertically articulated audit plans, making it easier to embed budget credibility within the planning process and include it as an audit instruction. Our SAI has implemented strategic initiatives to incorporate budget credibility and other public sector themes into the audit planning process. Efforts are being made to establish a systematic approach in prioritizing audits that assess the accuracy of budget estimates, effectiveness of internal controls, and proper utilization of funds. We could benefit from consistently ensuring that budget credibility lens is included as one of the key themes into our audit planning. This ensures that audit activities align with the needs of stakeholders and contribute to improved governance. Now, as a member of the IntoSai community and the chair of the Working Group on Public Debt, or WGPD, we have started to bring to the attention of our 41-strong member the concept of budget credibility and the important role of SAIs that SAIs can play to contribute to assessing budget credibility. This was exemplified during the 2023 annual meeting of the WGPD, where we invited the United Nations Department of Social Affairs, Division of Public Institution and Digital Governance, and the International Budget Partnerships, or the IBP, to share information relating to the development and launching of the Handbook on Assessing Budget Credibility. This provided a venue to raise awareness on the existence of such an important project. As the incoming chair of the ASEAN SAI, we also proposed, and the ASEAN SAI Executive Committee agreed, to include the subject of assessing budget credibility among the two projects proposed by SAI Philippines for knowledge sharing and capacity building in 2024. With the assistance of the UNDESA, IBP, and the WGPD members who jointly collaborated in the development of the handbook on assessing budget credibility, we're confident that this initiative will be realized for the benefit of the SAIs and stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cordova. It's a pleasure engaging with you in the WGPD. Thank you so much. So we'll now turn to Mr. Nassiri, continuing on how your SAI will tackle budget credibility in your audit process going forward. Over to you.
Merci, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. In Morocco, our SAI has most recently covered the period 2020 to 2026, and we have been looking to contribute to budget management, credibility, public finance management, and improving overall budget credibility. Budget issues are an integral part of our strategic plan, and this is primarily through the objective of focusing our SAI's work on value added with our audit processes, and looking at how we can analyze the quality of the work, performance, and also look at risks and budget risks, of course, and also how we can develop our strategic guidelines and ensure that these recommendations and guidelines that are proposed by the SAI are followed up. The SAI is working to establish a permanent committee which would work on the report that I talked about earlier, but also would annually include budget themes as major priorities, such as debt management and others. And in order to perform these audits, the SAI has to have sufficient human resources, and we need to continue training more specialized people and strengthening their abilities. We have also been looking at our strategic plan and how we can integrate some of the major themes related to mobilizing resources, because this doesn't involve just expenditure, but also it's on the resource side. And in 2022, we did an audit concerning resource mobilization and fiscal revenues. And this is all in line with trying to improve our processes for resource mobilization and also improving budget credibility. Another important theme that we are planning for 2023 is a report on the quality of budget estimates. And this is another important area where I think we need to do more work so that we can also improve budget credibility. But there are a lot of themes and many themes. I won't give you all of them. This is just a few examples. But I think that this is something that we do see in our current plan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you also for your collaboration.
How can we measure results as they collaborate, as SAIs collaborate with other stakeholders to strengthen budget credibility? Over to you.
Once again, thank you, Claire. Dear colleagues, we all know that the weakest link in the state audit institution work is the implementation of our recommendation by the executive branch. That's the reason why SAI in 2020 released 2 documents warning about this issue. And this is important for all our state audit institutions. And we have to know that SAIs have to focus not only on the audit findings, because credibility problems cut across all types of audit we did. I'm sure regarding this problem, we have to consider accountability, but in two kinds of accountability. The traditional horizontal accountability regarding checks and balances between different branches of the Republicans' political system, but also with a vertical accountability between state audit institutions and civil society. In doing so, we have to involve, I think, two important stakeholders, members of Congress and non-government organizations. We have to realize that there are no pleasant times for democracy. Furthermore, we have to realize that we have troubled times from democratic system in our region, but not only in Latin America. That's the reason why in OLACEF, our Latin American regional branch of state audit institutions, a couple of weeks ago, made the kickoff in a seminar in Buenos Aires with side members of different countries, the chairperson of the Parlatino, the Latin American Parliament, and of course, our friends from UTESA, among others. Let me finish quoting Israeli historian Yuval Harari. He said that at the present time of the civilization, the most important challenge is to ensure the people's confidence in institutions. And I think that with this handbook will help state audit institutions not only in the technical approach to our work, but also in the special consideration of the results of our work. Thank you.
Excellent. Muchas gracias. This very rich conversation. We're now turning to Silke Steiner, Director of the General Secretariat of the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions. Of course, a lot to take in here. We'd love to hear your synthesis and closing remarks. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Claire. So first of all, I would like to thank the International Budget Partnership and UNDESA, and in particular, of course, Claire and Arantxa for the organization of this important event and for the invitation also to participate in this event. And we have heard really a lot during the last hour, so I try to be brief. I think we have heard today and seen today that the drafting and the elaboration of this handbook of strengthening budget credibility is really an excellent example for the fruitful cooperation between members of InterSAI, UNDESA, and IPP. And it's also a best practice example for how important it is to bring together and to bundle our experiences. And I'm really impressed by the outcome of this collaboration that has been presented to us today. As you know, InterSAI's mission is to support its members in contributing effectively to the accountability of the public sector, in promoting transparency and good governance, and also in fostering the effectiveness and the efficiency of government programs for the benefit of all. And at the same time, InterSAI and also its members have committed themselves to make an essential contribution to the implementation of the SDGs, which is also one of InterSAI's strategic priorities. We have heard today that our experiences made from the recent and current global crises show that strong oversight of governing spending is more important than ever. And in this regard, our speakers also emphasized that SAIs can play a central role by ensuring the currency of public accounts, and that by reporting on the credibility of budgets, SAIs can make an essential contribution at the same time to the achievement of the SDGs. InterSAI's commitment is not only to support SAIs in this regard, but also to support them in developing also professional standards for SAIs that help them to promote the credibility and the independence of public sector audits. And independence is the next keyword. As you know, independence is critical for SAIs, and unfortunately, there are still a lot of challenges in this regard. But SAIs need to be independent in order to create the necessary impact and also to contribute to the accountability and transparency in the public sector. And therefore, it has to It is and it has to remain our main priority to promote the independence of SAIs, but also to support our members in building their necessary capacities in order to enable them to carry out their public sector audits in the most objective and effective way. And I'm convinced that the handbook that was presented to us today will provide very helpful guidelines for INTOSAI members in this regard, because this handbook offers many opportunities to strengthen budget credibility in the audit process, but also to foster the knowledge sharing and capacity building within the INTOSAI community in this field. So therefore, it only remains me now to thank all of you who were involved in the elaboration of this handbook for your commitment and for your dedication, and to congratulate all of you on this successful outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Silke. It's truly a collective effort here. We want to thank all the speakers today for your wonderful interventions. We want to thank all the contributors to the handbook, to this journey that we've undertaken together and that we will continue to take together. On behalf of UNDESA, DPIDG, and the International Budget Partnership, we thank you. We'll be following up with all who registered for the event to share the materials, to share the recording. Thank you to all who asked questions. We'll continue to share responses and can look forward to engaging further on this topic with you. Thank you very much. Wishing you a great evening and morning and day to you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire.